The National Football League was first created in 1922, despite not being very popular at first creation. The NFL has become America's favorite sport.
Hello, my name is Stanley Tucker, and I'm here to show you the monopoly power the NFL currently exhibits.
The first step in the NFL becoming the monopoly it is today came in the 1960s when the AFL and NFL merged into one league. This gave the NFL complete control of the whole entire market of professional football, thus eliminating all competition for professional football leagues.
The next scene will show under what laws the NFL uses to run as a legal monopoly and how they got this power.
The court has ruled the NFL and other national sport leagues exemption from the antitrust laws under the Sports Broadcasting Act of 1961.
If the NFL is exempt from the antitrust laws, they will take over all the markets for professional football and operate as a monopoly. By exempting the NFL, they will be able to charge higher monopolistic prices for the rights to broadcast their games.
This may be true, but in sport leagues the teams themselves only compete on the field. As a business entity they work more as partners than competitors.
As you can see from the courtroom, the NFL is exempt from the laws that prohibit other businesses to act as a monopoly. The NFL only allows a select few broadcasting corporations the right to broadcast professional football games. The NFL decides who gets the rights to broadcast the games, not the teams. By only choosing a select few corporations to broadcast the games, the NFL can charge the corporations a highly inflated monopoly price. Many critics argue the NFL is not a monopoly, saying each team is a separate business. If this were true, wouldn't each team be able to pick who gets the right to broadcast the game? By allowing teams to choose which company will broadcast the game, the number of companies broadcasting games will rise. With more broadcast companies, the prices will be more competitive and much lower than the highly inflated monopoly price. The next scenes talk about how the NFL uses its monopoly power to finance new stadiums and renovate old ones.
Tonight on the Daily News, we will tell you all about the new football stadium coming into Minnesota and what it will mean for you.
The Minnesota Vikings will be getting their new stadium just in time for the next season. How could they possibly fund such a large expense?
We as taxpayers of Minnesota and residents of Minneapolis will be paying for this expansion. Our state and local government has given in to the power of the NFL monopoly. After the Vikings threatened to leave Minnesota if they did not get a new stadium, the city and state started looking for ways to fund the new stadium.
The stadium will be funded on a corporate tax loophole being closed and an increase to the price of cigarettes. The bill we be funding will cost $498 million.
This is another example of how the NFL uses its monopoly power. They basically can tell cities meet our demands or we will move the team somewhere else. Even though no NFL team has moved in many years, the threat alone still has cities scared to not meet their demands. This is the epitome of what a monopoly is. The NFL has complete control over the market for professional football, so much that cities who do not want to meet the demands can never have an NFL team. Please give the NFL this monopoly power by giving into the NFL to gain the positive externalities of having a professional football team in their cities. This brings me to my next point on the monopoly power of the NFL. These next scenes show one of the primary reasons the NFL has so much power. It is how they treat their players.
Hello, I am John Smith and I am expected to be the #1 pick in the NFL draft this year. I am here to talk to you about how the monopoly power hurts the NFL players. First off, the NFL has complete control of their labor market. We as players have no choice of any other league if we want to make a living off playing football. Next, the NFL throws the players into a draft, where they cannot choose or have any input whatsoever as to what team will pick you in the draft. This causes players to have minimal bargaining about their salary as well, since there is only one team that the NFL will allow you to play for, thus giving the NFL monopoly the power of a monopsony as well. Because there is such a huge difference between the NFL and their closest league, the CFL, The NFL has such a huge advantage over the CFL. The players truly only have one option for employment and do not have much possibility to negotiate with that employer. Even with the NFLPA helping us with collective bargaining, the amount the owners pay for players in this system is significantly lower than what would be paid in a free market.
This is not the only way the NFL uses its monopoly power to drive costs down. The NFL also has a salary cap on how much a team can spend on their players' salaries. Although this salary cap does help keep the teams even for competition, it also destroys the individual player's market value. If there were no salary caps, the players' salaries would be much higher as long as they help win games and bring in more fans. This again is a great example of what a monopoly strives to do. They want to control every aspect of the industry while maximizing profits and cutting down cost. By controlling how much each team spends on players and not allowing players many rights in choosing who they play for, NFL minimizes its price of labor to a level that no free market agency could ever compete with, and only a monopoly could provide. The NFL is one of the purest forms of monopolies around the world, being naturally formed and not sought after. Monopoly power allows the NFL to make its own prices, control the supply for the whole market of professional football, control the labor markets, and minimize their cost.